The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And of course, I do this every time, Mark. I swear to God. There we go.
That was so dramatic, and then
Wasn't it, though?
and then
And then here we are.
yeah, and now
I feel like I feel like we need to talk in that voice for the whole thing. Well, anyway, everybody, just to let you know, we got Mark Allen Woodard here with us, who I like to say is our ensemble stage chameleon, because he's played many roles, and all of them very different. And I always love working with Mark because it's the easiest directing job I have is when Mark is in a show, because I could just kind of sit back and watch Mark. And there's like very few little tweaks here and there, and sometimes even make up the tweaks for Mark simply so he doesn't think that I forgot about him in rehearsals.
I appreciate that.
It's like, I haven't given a note to Mark for a while. I'll give him this note. But you've been working with us since I guess it was our second show that we ever did.
God's Man in Texas.
Yep, God's Man in Texas. Now, tell everybody about that process, because
that's
now let me set it up for them. Now we're doing about 2.5 weeks of rehearsal, and then we have tech and dress, and then we do the show. And but how did God's Man in Texas go there?
That was a week and a half of rehearsals, and opening night for that show. I can honestly say the most scared I've ever been before an opening. I remember standing backstage and just thinking, we're not ready. We are not ready to do this. Yeah.
And rightfully so.
We did it.
We did it that way. Yeah, and I mean, it turned out great, and it was pretty damn wonderful, actually. That the way the show turned out. That's one of the shows I was really thinking about bringing back for this past season, because it was such a good show. But that was when we had started early on, and so
nobody saw it.
Yeah, nobody saw the darn thing, but it was such a good show. And I remember it was frustrating to me because people would call up and want to know about tickets, and they'd want to know about the show. And, the big question was, the title is God's Man in Texas, and everybody going, so is this a show about George Bush? It's like, nope, not really. But because in case people out there don't know the premise of the show, it's basically about mega churches and kind of the behind closed doors mega churches and the stuff that goes on back there. And it was a hell of a show. And George Gray, remember George Gray?
Yeah,
he's still out there and kicking it, I guess. But
he is.
I see him posted up on, but he played the older guy, and I for some reason I couldn't find any well, I found like 3 pictures from that. We did a really crappy job back in the day of taking like archival photos and things like that. Mm-hmm. And now we do better, but I've noticed that, especially getting ready for this thing, I do a crappy job at taking pictures of just a blank set. As a matter of fact, I need to pull up a new background for you, Mark, instead of this one.
Yeah, I wasn't in that show.
No, you weren't in that show. But you know what? I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Yep. There you go.
Now that's a set.
That was, yeah, no kidding. That was, and we'll get into that too. I mean, that was this past season's production of Mind Game, and just a lot of new things that happened for that. I'm so glad we did it over because there were so many new things we were able to add to it, and little nuances that weren't there before that we were able to add to the show to make it that people going, what the hell? What? Wait, what? I mean, even things as little as, oh, well, the lighter's in this drawer. No, the lighter's in this drawer. No, there's that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun doing that show. But anyway, now, so we did God's Man in Texas, and that was like 2010. And then I don't know if this was the next one, but we did. I don't know if I want to talk. I don't want to talk about it yet because I'm getting ready to show. I'm getting ready to pull up all the, excuse me, all the pictures I have from that show. So we'll jump past Tuna Does Vegas because there's some great pictures in that are currently downloading. Now I got the coughs. But after Tuna Does Vegas, do you remember what it was? How many shows have you been in?
I've lost count. I would have to go back and look at all the seasons and count.
Yeah, and if I would have been a good content producer for this, I would have gone back there and did that myself. But I had planned to, but I didn't. But I mean, there were a few years where you weren't in a show with us, but on a normal basis, you were usually in at least one show during the season. Mm-hmm. And of course, this past season, you were in all 4 shows. Yes. Tell everybody what that was like. You were, like I said, Mark was in all 4 of our summer shows. All 4 are distinctly different. And but tell everybody what that was like working on 4 shows back to back to back to back like that.
It was a whirlwind, and I haven't done anything like that many shows back to back since I was probably in my early 20s. So I was really nervous about whether or not I was going to be able to fit it all into my brain, or if at some point my brain would just get full and nothing else would download. So, but amazingly enough, it got easier as the season
as you got used to it.
Like, yeah, and with the schedule and everything, like my brain just conditioned itself to,
right,
okay, this is what we're doing. But so, and it's nuts to me. I was thinking about this earlier. It's nuts to me that we closed that season just a little over a month ago.
Yeah, it was 3 days before the rain started happening.
Yeah,
and then we had 3 days of rain before even Helene got into town, and then all hell broke loose after that.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad we kept Nicole, our stage manager. We kept her here for another couple of days to help me with the set and stuff like that. And I went ahead. We saw weather was coming in, so we went ahead and sent her home. It was either a Tuesday or Wednesday, but it was I guess it was Wednesday because the day after was when all the shit hit the fan and things were going nuts. And it's like, oh, thank God we got Nicole out of here. So,
right.
If for no other reason, just so I didn't have to deal with her for the next. But no,
you would have ended up killing each other.
Yeah. Although she would have been trapped on Beach Mountain Island, which is what it kind of was there for a while, because they were completely. There was no exit from Beach Mountain for like a week. Crazy stuff. But
yeah, we were kind of in a similar boat. We live in town. We live in Morganton, for those who don't know where I live. Mm-hmm. And we live in town, but in a very wooded neighborhood, and there are all these very old oak trees, and so many of those came down. We were stuck in our house for about a week.
Yeah.
And did not supply ourselves appropriately. We definitely were guilty of underestimating how bad it was going to be.
Well, see,
I thought, there'll be a bunch of rain, and we might be stuck inside.
That's exactly what we were thinking, and as a matter of fact, I mean, we knew the rain was coming, and we knew Helene was eventually going to get up there, and it was going to be like every other hurricane we've had that has had its remnants show up there with just a little bit more rain and maybe a few little gusty bursts of wind, but nothing. You know, it'd be nothing, but boy, but it surprised us, and of course, me and Lisa we were actually fairly stocked up, but we hadn't counted on it being that bad. So we had about $200 worth of groceries in the freezer and refrigerator, and then we lost power, and so we lost all of that stuff that we had. But and we just got back water about, I guess it's been about 4 days ago. We just got water. Wow. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah, you in all four of those shows. Now, which show, you said it got easier as it went along now. You did have the advantage of having been in Loveless before, having been in Mind Game before. Did that give you any solace as you were preparing for those, or did anything come back to you as you were working on your lines, go, oh, okay, and you just kind of had to have a little refresher as opposed to, holy shit, I got all these lines?
Yeah, it is different than learning something completely unfamiliar to you. And even something like Mind Game, where there are just so many words and it's a long play. There were chunks of it where a lot of it just sort of resurfaced in my brain from all those years ago, which is impressive, and I think also maybe indicative of good writing. As well.
Yeah, I think you're right. That makes sense. And for people that don't know, I'm Mind Game. If you've ever seen Shutter Island, it's Johnny Depp, I think. I want to say it is with Johnny Depp, but I'm not sure. It's not. Is it
Leonardo DiCaprio?
That's it, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's quite similar to Shutter Island. Is quite similar to what Mind Game is, and if the background you see behind me now was the end tableau for Mind Game, and since we're talking about Mind Game, let me pull something up here, and we'll. Oh wait, you know what? It's not here. It is, or maybe it is. Hang on. But I wanted to show. I've got a little video clip of that. The end of Mind Game.
Ooh.
So if I could find that here. No, but you know what? I got it over here. I know where it's handy. So I'll pull this up. Here we go. So anyway, here's the last few minutes of Mind Game.
I'm becoming increasingly concerned about the level of violence.
There was no real violence.
It was implicit.
Alex, I think we should have this out.
Miss Olsen, could you please come up to the office?
Of course, these sessions are exhausting, but you know as well as I, we can achieve more in 2 hours of psychodrama than we can in 2 months or even 2 years of conventional therapy. Hi, I'm Mark Steiner.
It's a question of the means justifying the carpet.
I don't deny that. Carpet! Envelope!
Look, Carol, I'm as big of an admirer of Moreno as you are. You know that. But I think you can envelop his methods to extremes.
Perfect envelope! But for 10 years he said nothing. He was nothing but wallpaper. And yet in the 10 months since I started... It's a game!
Cigarettes.
No, thank you.
The jelly.
I won't deny that.
No, the carpet or the envelope.
Nor the wallpaper.
Well, carpet's envelope and of course wallpaper.
Wallpaper, cigarette, jelly.
Well, the carpet envelope.
Wallpaper. Wallpaper, cigarette, jelly.
Carpet, cigarette. Cigarette, carpet.
Cigarette. Carpet. Great music choice there at the end as well.
Yeah, that was so much fun to do the music for that, because I got to, anytime I thought, no, this isn't right, that made it perfect. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it was very fun putting that whole music package together for the pre-show and the intermission and all that kind of stuff. But how about that friggin' set of Mike Helms, though? Holy crap!
Yeah,
man,
to pull that off without a huge budget as well. That's just creativity. That's skill.
Yeah, and that was, I tell you what, that was. It was hard for me to wrap. I loved the concept when he showed it to me, but it was like, how are we going to pull this shit off? We don't have the money to do this. But I mean, he's been in this business for what, 40 friggin' years or something like that, and if not longer. And he showed us how to do this, and it was very frustrating. I'm sure I was very frustrating to him, and he was very frustrating to me, because we weren't quite in sync, which was unusual for us. Usually we're really in sync as to where our heads are. I usually, there's always adjustments I make to a set, but much to his chagrin. But I didn't want to do that with this one, because it was such a neat idea. And we'd never done that before, where we had the walls collapsing back and collapsing in and that kind of stuff.
Not a lot of shows call for that.
Well, that's true too. I guess maybe Fall of the House of Usher, maybe a little bit, but that's the only one that I could maybe think of. But man, what a great set for that, and such a cool show. And when we had you and Lori's going to be on later. She's going to be on at 8:30 tonight. But we had you and Scott and Lori in this thing. Same cast as we had back in 2015, I think it was. Yeah, 2015. Yeah. That was the one show that kind of broke what I had wanted. My parameters were, we're not going to do a show unless we haven't done it for at least 10 years. And then I saw a Mind Game had been done like 9 years ago. I was like, yeah, damn it. Okay, wait a minute. I'm the artistic director. I could do this show if I want. So
break your own rule.
Yeah, that's right. And because there's really only 2 shows over the past couple of years that I kept falling back on as always wanting to do, and the audience kept asking about them too, was Mind Game and then Love List. And Love List was the hit it always was. Boy, talk about some creative writing there. That's such a creatively written play.
Yes, so clever.
Yeah, explain the premise to people about Love List in case they didn't get a chance to see it.
Love List is about a couple of guys, friends. One of them's just turned 50, but he's still single, and so his pal, who I played, gets him, signs him up for a matchmaking service. and they fill out this form with a list of 10 things, 10 qualities that he's looking for in a mate, and then they do that, and then this mysterious woman just shows up at the door who has all 10 of those qualities, and through the course of the play they end up changing out some of those qualities, so the actress playing that role gets to explore a lot of different personalities.
Yeah, that and Laura Hodos was like the perfect choice for that role. I remember even when the first time we did it, as soon as I read that, it was like, that's easy. That's Laura Hodos. That's who that's for. It's Laura Hodos, and she pulled it off again. That was the three of you playing off each other like that in that, and then the last performance. Tell people about that last performance we had of Love.
I was thinking earlier today about whether I had any anecdotes or anything particularly memorable performances, and it dawned on me that probably the most memorable performance that I've had in all the shows that I did with Ensemble Stage was the last performance I did with Ensemble Stage. Because towards the end of Act 1, the power went out in the theater. The emergency lights came on. We wrapped up Act 1, and then you guys brought out a bunch of lamps and whatever light we could find.
And the thing about it was so funny because we ended Act 1, and immediately the audience was going, "You got to. We'll hold up our camera or our cell phones to give you light. We have got to see the end of this play." You know, there was none of that. Well, are you guys going to be able to? They were insistent on seeing that last act, which was pretty cool in itself.
I don't know if anybody left, and
I don't know. Absolutely not.
The incredible thing was they were so grateful once we started again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the experience was as unique for them as it was for us on the stage.
Yeah.
And theater magic just happened. They were so much more into it and appreciative. Had everything gone perfectly.
Yeah, and it was funny because they kind of got to get an idea of kind of what we have to follow and everything. Because once we strung out all those chords and we put all those battery operated lanterns out there on the stage and everything, by rule, I have to bring you guys out to see all the things that have been changed on the set, so you guys don't trip over something and you're not aware of it. So we had to bring the three of you out before the start of Act 2. With the audience all sitting in there watching, and they got to see you guys go around and look at the chords and see if we had, if there was any other areas we needed to make sure were taped down or to prevent you guys from tripping over anything. And when it's Scott Wilson, that's a pretty tall order to fill, to keep him from tripping over things.
I don't know how we got through it.
But you were the one that tripped on. Wasn't it this show where you were the one that tripped on something, or was that one of the other 4 shows that and Scott made a big deal out of it wasn't me that tripped, it was Mark.
I think that was one of the other shows.
Okay.
I was very conscious that show of everything that was on the grounds.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be the person that pulled the lamp down on stage. But I think my favorite part of that night is when you came out for a scene transition, singing the transition music. That was,
that wasn't a good time for anybody.
I beg to differ.
Well, it because of my lack of skill in singing, that may have been. It probably was very funny for the audience. My favorite part was having to run back there and do the dog barks as you were coming down the hallway, because we didn't have any sound effects either for that.
The audience really enjoyed the dog. The dog never got laughs before when it was
exactly. Yeah. And but they had that, and the audience was so great also that because it was about 2/3 or halfway through Act Two where the power came back on, and then we had everything back to the way it was, and we didn't stop to adjust. We just kept going, but then we had sound and we had lights and things like that to go with it, and then of course Laura, one of Laura's lines of if I'm going to stick around here, there's going to be some major redecorating or whatever, and then she referenced all the lamps and lanterns over on the stage. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think this thing is ready. I'm going to put this up because it's so much fun. This is a show that this is from a show that Mark did way back when, and let me see if I can find it here. There it is. There we are. Tuna Does Vegas, baby. Now, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, the tuna things are fine. That's just kind of not what we do. But look how young you look, Mark. Holy crap. Man. That was, 2012? 2012, something like that. 2013, maybe. But, yeah, Tuna Does Vegas. Right. And you are going to see some horrific pictures of Mark and the other actor, Stephen Moore, because they played. What was the total number of characters you guys played? Like 34 or something? There's something Mark. Like there's Mark. Oh my God. Was that Jolene? Was that her name?
Maybe.
And Lisa did such a great job with that costume with that one kid clinging to your leg.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it from looking at that, but I had to get into that costume in like 15 seconds.
You guys had to get into every costume in 15 seconds. And there's Steve as an old woman and everything, but good Lord, that was a lot of fun. The set was ass because that was a set that we didn't have the privilege and honor of having Mike Helms to do our sets by then. He hadn't arrived into town yet, so we didn't even know him, and we were winging this, and that was probably our 12th iteration of what the heck do we do with this set that has to take place in so many different locations. But and we just kind of gave up on it. But nobody was paying attention to the set once you and Steve Moore got on the stage, because you guys you friggin' owned that. And there's Steve. Oh my God! And there you are, Mark, coming out in your waitress outfit. But boy, how much fun was that? That was a ton of fun.
I have some really good friends who have seen me in a number of ensemble shows over the years, including this summer. They saw Mind Game and Love List. And those were the two that I kind of told them, if you're going to come see two, come see these two.
Yeah.
And still to this day, that Tuna Does Vegas is their favorite thing that they've ever seen me in. And I'm always like, really?
Yeah, that's my thought. It's like, really?
They quote it.
Oh my!
Still, after all these years, they quote that show.
Well, that's what's crazy about this is that all these tuna shows, they have those people that they're like tuna groupies, and they go all over the country, and they came to see us. They came to see us do with Tuna Does Vegas, and then they came to see that second tuna that we did, Red, White, and Tuna. But that big contingent of like 20 people that basically apparently have nothing better to do than travel the country and go seeing different versions of tuna at different theaters. But oh God, it was fun. And but nothing is better. Wait till you see. This is the one. Yeah, you guys had the where you were you did the Showgirls. and you had your showgirl costumes on. Lisa still has that picture. It'll probably come up here in a little bit, but Lisa still has those pictures up there in the box office, and I guess every once in a while somebody will notice that hanging there. I want to know what the hell that is that they're looking at. But oh my God, that was so much fun. I miss doing stuff. Steve Moore is such a talented guy. He was just kind of like that everyman, chum kind of guy next door. I loved working with him, and you two had such great chemistry together. Sorry, we don't get a chance to work here with him anymore, but not sure what he's up to nowadays. But I make it sound like he's dead, but he's not.
He's not. He still he does stuff with Temple Theater. I think they've become just his theater home.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that's close to where he lives or whatever, and so it makes it easier for him. But my gosh, he was so much fun to work with, and everything. But so as these things are circulating behind us and everything, you've had to have been in at least 20, I would imagine.
I think it's around that. Yeah. And I've done some of the radio plays as well.
You're hardly ever available for those because you're usually out doing something else at the time. But and plus the radio things don't pay nearly as well as, not that these pay any very good, but the radio, those were fun. And now the one radio play that I really, really liked, that we did Macbeth as a radio play, and you were in that, and you were kind of the I mean, I when it comes to Shakespeare and stuff like that, I always turn to you and defer to your judgment and your thoughts on those things whenever when we were doing that, and you were also involved when we went down there to Raleigh, weren't you? With the All's Well That Ends Well, I think is what it was. But those were
that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I'd like to do one of those, maybe a Macbeth radio play. That'd be a good show to have for like at Thanksgiving or at Thanksgiving, at Halloween. That'd probably be a good show to do for that. I need to keep that in mind. But so I guess of all these shows, what kind of stands out to you as far as that show?
That show?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that was all around the best experience of all the other shows. Not saying that any other shows were bad experiences, but the one that was like everything just clicked and everything was fun and and that kind of stuff. Or was there one?
I don't. I mean, they're certainly the ones that we redid this summer.
Love List and Mind Game. Yep.
Love List and Moon Over the Brewery as well.
Yeah.
I had a great time doing those shows both times that we did them.
Yeah.
For good reason, and that's the reason why you chose to do them again. Is there were good shows, and we had a good time working on them. But outside of those, gosh, I think about Melville Boys.
Yeah,
being a highlight. Yeah. That show was just a lot of fun to work on.
And it's funny that with Melville Boys, we still have some of those patrons that go, "Are the Melville Boys going to be in this year's shows at all?" They still refer to you as the Melville. There you are in your.
Hey, look at that.
That's Lisa did such a great job on those friggin' costumes. Oh my God.
So awful.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the last picture that we have in this reel of pictures is this god awful close up of your face in playing this character, and people could see just how horrible of a woman you make.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it is not good. And as a matter of fact, that just reminded me. We used to do these um,
Murder mysteries.
murder mysteries, and you played a character that um, I can't remember, but I know you're the most god awful looking woman I've ever seen in my life. And we took that picture of you out there underneath that lamppost, like you're a streetwalker.
Yeah, that was
That was awesome.
that was a lot.
Yeah,
But you know, I have no shame, so that works out well for everyone.
yeah. You can't really have shame if you're in this business, but and I guess that's why. I mean, that's one of the things I like with working with you. There's I can't think of anything that I've asked you to do that you said no, I'm not going to do that. You at least try it. As bad as some of those choices are, that I just have to see it and then go, okay, yeah, that sucks. But
usually I can tell. Usually I'm like, he's not going to like this.
Yeah,
I'll do it, but he's not going to.
Exactly. Like it. Yeah. But because I get these crazy weird ideas in my head, and when we're working on a show, especially when it comes to comedy.
Look at that clean-faced baby.
Oh my God! Yeah, look at that. That shouldn't have shown up in there. My God. But yeah, God, that was such a long time ago. But anyway, well, I just want to remind everybody that the reason we're doing all this is to we had that we lost about 25 grand in sponsorships for our holiday show because of the and frankly, rightfully so. This our sponsorship money went away because they wanted to put it towards humanitarian efforts after the hurricane, and I completely get that. But now that we're planning on still doing our show, our Christmas show, we need to try to do the best we can to make up that deficit, and that's why we're doing our Giving Tuesday a month early, and I'm calling it our Giving Tuesday STREAM-A-THON. And oh God, look at that face! Holy crap! But so if you're interested in donating to Ensemble Stage, you can go to that webpage right there, ensemblestage.ludus.com /donate, and sign up, and any amount will be great. I mean, if you could do $1 or $5 or $10 or $5,000, anything will help. And so we would really appreciate that to happen. And the people who've been coming to see our shows for a long time, and we do have quite a few people that have been a part of our patron family for a number of years, and they always enjoy Mark's performances, and rightfully so. And I'm not gilding the lily when I say you're a friggin' genius on stage, and it's so comfortable to have you in my cast. It takes away a lot of angst when you're there, and I always appreciate that with you. So I appreciate.
Thank you. I always have a good time in rehearsals at Ensemble Stage. I honestly can't think of a show where I was like, wow, rehearsals were awful.
Yeah.
Maybe that last tuna that we did, just because I threw my back out.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
All the time,
yeah,
but
that was not that. I'll call a spade a spade. It was a bad show, and most of it was my fault, which it usually is the director's fault. So I'll take blame for that. But yeah, now our rehearsal, my rehearsal process, and the way there it is. There's that pretty face. Yeah, very unconventional, I would guess. I would have to say about my rehearsal process, but it's.
But you create an environment, and I think this is really important. And I'm not trying to blow smoke either, but where I always feel free to just try things and to have fun and to be creative and listen to my instincts
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just worrying about doing
if more people would just listen
what's
to their
expected.
instincts, I would have a lot less to do work to do as a director, because usually your instincts are right, whatever it is, especially when you're a seasoned actor. Because I tweak. That's all I do when especially when it's you and Scott. All I do is tweak. I don't, because you guys create on your own, and I just kind of fine tune it. But anyway,
that's what you want to do as a
exactly,
director.
yeah.
And that's what I always want to do as a director.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you everything. I want you to bring it to the table.
Yep. And people don't, especially the newer actors, that they get frustrated with me when they say, well, in the script it says I'm supposed to, and you know how I feel about stage direction in a friggin' script. Oh my God. But that's the other really good thing about you and Scott. You both understand that. So stage direction be damned. Go where you want, and if it's wrong, we'll know. We'll figure it out. But screw that. But
that's what rehearsals are for.
That's right, exactly. Or as Laura Hodos says, they're called rehearsals. If you didn't go back and redo them, they would just be rehearsals.
Right.
Laura Hodos right there. All right. Well, thanks for joining us here, Mark. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you taking time. And everybody, we'll be back in about 15 minutes or so with Josh Yoder and Liz Bachhoven, and we're going to be having a chat with them. I will tell them you said hi, Mark.
I will. Is Joey going to be there? Because if not, I'm not tuning in.
God, yeah, I know, right? Oh, what a cute baby. Yep, that's all. Actually, that's the reason I asked them, is just for hopes they'll bring the baby, and then they could walk away and we could just spend 30 minutes looking at the baby.
And you'll raise more money. You'll raise way more money.
So, yep, exactly. Cutest damn baby I've ever seen in my life. All righty. Well, thanks a lot, Mark, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right. Best of luck.
Thanks. Bye.